Soviet Union wasn't there. And many still wonder what would have been if they had been at the Olympics. Daggett was a member of the American Miracle men's team, winners of the team title over the favored Chinese in Los Angeles. But the Soviets weren't there. Today on ABC's Wide World of Sports, you'll see what happens when the Russians return to the world gymnastics scene in the World Gymnastics Championships in Montreal. We're in the Olympic Velodrome in Montreal, the scene of the cycling and the judo competition in the 1976 Olympic Games. This weekend, again, it's an exciting place because being held here are the 23rd World Gymnastics Championships. Hello, I'm Jim McKay, reporting again from Montreal. It has been a long time, believe it or not, more than 9 years. I haven't been back since we were here for the Olympics. So it's kind of a nostalgic trip for me, but an exciting one, too, because the World Championships of Gymnastics are a major event. We're going to be bringing you today on Wide World of Sports the men's individual all-around competition. Now, the Soviets are going to be favored. They've already won the men's team championship. It's a very interesting situation, however, because it's the first time in 2 years since the World Championships of 1983 that the Soviets have faced the best of the rest of the world. So they'll be favored, but it won't be easy because they'll be going against individuals like Ning of China. Remember, he won 3 gold medals out in Los Angeles. And then there's Koji Gushkin of Japan, coming off an injury here, but he's the man who won this event, the individual all-around in the LA Olympics. As for the Americans, well, it's sort of a rebuilding phase. Just 2 members of our victorious men's team from LA are here. That's Tim Daggett and Scott Johnson. Where are the rest of them, and where are the American women who found glory in Los Angeles? Well, as today's program moves along, we'll be updating you on them. Where are they now? What are they doing? That sort of thing. Right now, let's update on our expert on this sport, Gordon Maddox. Gordon, why don't you run us down a little more specifically on the men's individual all-around?
Well, Jim, the Russians are tremendously strong, and it's a surprise to me that the Soviet athlete Vladimir Artemov is in a tie for the all-around with an East German, Sylvio Kroll. In third place is the 1981 world all-around champion Yuri Korolev. Ning had the misfortune of drawing the first round of competition in the team competition, and early in the day, gymnastic judges just don't give high marks, and so his score put him in 5th place, about a half a point behind the leaders. Koji Gushkin did fracture an ankle about a half year ago, has a full recovery, but it did interrupt his training, and Koji is down in 7th place, going to have to struggle a little bit. And how strong are the Russians? Well, Dmitry Belozerchev, the 1983 all-around champion, maybe the greatest gymnast that's ever lived, had an unfortunate auto accident a couple of weeks ago, shattered a leg, and is probably finished in competition. And his teammate, Yuri Balabanov, was the one that the Soviets thought might win the all-around. He has a tweaky ankle, didn't compete well enough to make it into the all-around finals. You know what? The Russians don't even miss him.
Let's take a look at the standings then as we come to the final phase of the individual all-around. You see 3 Soviets in the top 4, along with the East German, then the 2 Chinese. As for the Americans, Tim Daggett is our best at the moment. He's way down in 15th place. But here is Yuri Korolev of the Soviet Union, world individual all-around champion in 1981. Didn't do as well in 1983, now returning to the world scene.
Now, Yuri will be attempting a one-arm Sukahara, one-arm valser, now becoming the in thing in achieving the high difficulty that's required. That's a very nice fall, good solid landing.
Good solid gymnast, too. At the age of 23, he's been around the world, had a bit of a slump for 2 years, but has certainly been coming back here.
Now watch him in the air. Takes off, good push off the one arm, slight knee bend. However, that is not apparent at full speed, and it was such a good landing, the judges just won't take off much.
Okay, standing by for his mark, and there it is, 9.9 for Korolev. He could move up from 3rd place possibly with a mark like that, but here is his teammate, Vladimir Artemov, who is tied for the lead, remember. Artemov, younger, 20 years old, approaching the high bar now.
Splendid gymnast. Now he passes over the top of the bar into a one-arm giant. Now out of this, he takes a move that was named after his teammate of a couple of years back, a Tkachov, a reverse hecht, over the top into an immediate flyaway half-turn recatch. Now he has an interesting way of getting into eagle giants, which are also required. Watch this. He does a pivot into immediate eagles. Pops out. Good, a Stalder shoot. Named after the famous Joseph Stalder from Switzerland. Now here comes his dismount. A full twisting double flyaway. Again, a nice routine.
I would would say that the Soviets are back, that's for sure.
Absolutely.
Vladimir Artemov from a town called Vladimir.
Watch the roll now into eagles. Casts out again on the top. Hops out of the eagles into an immediate stalder. Comes out of the stalder. Takes one preparatory giant. Gets set up for his dismount. Now it's a full twisting double flyaway. Takes it with a full twist on the first somersault. Is able to spot the landing very nicely.
What kind of a mark does he get? There it is, 9.75. He loses ground to his teammate Korolev. This is Sylvio Kroll of East Germany. He's tied for the lead coming into the final phase of this individual all-around. The mark they have already was accumulated during the team competition. That counts for half, and what they do here counts for the other half. Floor exercise.
Excuse me, Jim. A full-end double back. That's a full twisting double back with a twist on the first somersault. And that little touchdown will cost him probably about 3/10 of a point. And that's major when he's coming into this event leading in the all-around to take a big deduction. Flares. To a minute pirouette.
Not bad.
He's really a good-looking gymnast. He's physically good, and his style is just terrific.
A little tall for a gymnast, 5'8½".
Yep. And not very bulky. His weight-to-strength ratio must be very good. Watch this, back front now.
Remember, 6 events in one going on at the same time. That man you saw flashing through the background was doing the vault.
And how distracting it must be for these gymnasts to have the other 5 events somewhere in their consciousness. I think it takes a real discipline to work through it. Here comes a double back for a dismount now. Nice move.
Okay, Sylvio Kroll of East Germany, German Democratic Republic. That's what the GDR stands for there. Let's have another look.
All right, now this is another shot of the dismount. Gets a nice lean into it. Takes a back handspring, sets it up very high, drops out of it, and is able to set his feet so that he doesn't take many hops. He has just one small hop at the end. It's a good finish to a nice routine.
Standing by for the mark, 9.65. That'll drop him down into 3rd place behind Korolev now. So the Soviets take over the first 2 places. Loosening up there on the right side of your screen is Ning of the People's Republic of China, winner of 3 gold medals in the Olympic Games. He won this event, tied for the gold in the pommel horse and the rings.
And wait till you see this opening. He's one of the few people in the world that does a double twisting, double back somersault. Just an unbelievable move, and he just drops out of it. Could parachute out of it.
When I said he won this event, I'm speaking of the floor exercise, of course, not the individual all-around.
Comes out of his double very, very high. The most underscored of all the potential leaders in this competition. And just a beautiful person. Flares up into a pirouette. He has a presence about him that just speaks of serenity. He's an artist, both in the fine arts sense and in the gymnastic sense. Beautiful press through a planche. Probably a tuck double coming in here somewhere. There it is. Tuck side, pardon me. Now he's past the minimum time, which is 50 seconds. They have a maximum of 70. Here comes a double back somersault. Watch how he drops out of it. Oh, just gorgeous, gorgeous.
He stuck that one into the mat, didn't he?
Well, we'll see what they can take off for in that exercise. That's really fabulous. Incidentally, they made a new rule here against demonstrating after high scores. Can you believe that?
Let's have a look at that opening move.
All right, this is a double twisting, double back now. A full twist on each of the 2 somersaults. And watch how high he goes and how early he comes out of it. Wow, he is just in orbit. Just fabulous. Marvelous conditioning.
And what do the judges think? Look at that, a 9.9 for Ning of China. Here then are the standings after one rotation. The Soviets now tied for the lead. Kroll of East Germany dropping down into third place. But keep an eye on Ning of China moving up from fifth to fourth. And now here's Tim Daggett of the United States preparing for the vault. He and Scott Johnson are the only members of the 1984 U.S. men's Olympic team who are competing here. However, we said we'd bring you up to date on some of the other American Olympians from L.A. Let's do that now. In Irvine, California, for example, Peter VIDMAR is enjoying the freedom of a post-competition life with his wife, Donna, and a brand-new baby boy, who right now is just 11 weeks old. Happens to be named for one of his teammates on the U.S. Olympic team, Tim Daggett, and we'll be seeing in a moment. He now gives speeches and teaches gymnastics, a different life.
After the Olympics, I thought, wow, now I can do all those things I never got a chance to do. And I've been surfing, and I went skiing and water skiing and sailing and hot air ballooning and doing a lot of fun things, and I've enjoyed it. But those things aren't going to last forever, and I'll be honest, those things are fun, but they're very temporary, and they don't bring me that long-lasting satisfaction that I've got out of gymnastics, because I know that it was a sport that I had to really work at and really try to master. And so it's fun to go back in the gym and play around, and I don't know, I do miss it. I miss the training, and it's been difficult to stay away from the gym, and it's not by choice. But the most important thing right now is to take care of my family. And if I could do both, if I could train and compete and take care of my family and Timmy and have that time at home, I'd do all of it. But right now, family's number one, and gymnastics has to take a back seat. But I'm going to be involved in the sport for the rest of my life, no matter what.
You remember Jim Hartung in L.A.? Well, he's returned to Lincoln, Nebraska after the excitement of the games and the exhibitions that followed. He figured that a little rest and rehabilitation was in order, just to get his priorities for the future.
I took last year off, kind of a sabbatical. We were doing so many things that it was just hard to train enough to compete at a top level, so I just took the whole year off. And about 2 months ago, I started working out again, and now I want to see if if I can come back. I'm going to train, and if everything feels good and I'm enjoying what I'm doing, and if I'm healthy, I will probably continue to compete.
Now, Bart Connor's Olympic career actually began here in Montreal in 1976. Since L.A., he's been everywhere, doing everything, from a mall opening in Wisconsin to promote his book, to a career as one of the leading men in a movie called Rad. He's the guy in the black shirt, the bad guy, something new to good guy Bart.
It is a riot, I gotta tell you. You know, Tracy Talavera is one of my best friends from the women's Olympic team. And Tracy, she said, you know, you've been the Richie Cunningham of gymnastics your whole life, you know? And so she said, you know, when I was really looking forward to this, because, well, Hal Needham came to my house. He was, you know, he's involved in racing cars, and he was going across the country and stopped in Oklahoma for a day and visited it and said, I want you to do this movie, Bart. And I was like, well, I read the script, and you know, it's a bad guy, basically. I'll even do some of your work for you, crew.
How you doing? Well, hot shot, looks like you owe me $1.05.
$1.05, a buck.
Well, the buck stopped with Bart at L.A. in this Olympic performance on the parallel bars, remember?
Presses up to a handstand. Now is half turn to a handstand or stutz to a handstand, and all he has left is his dismount, and he nails it. Great routine. There's your 10.
If I retire now, then my last competitive performance will have been a perfect 10 on the parallel bars. And, man, if that ain't the way to go, there is no way.
Can't argue with that. Now back to Tim Daggett, carrying on for the United States, doggedly so, in 15th position on the vault.
He'll be trying a one-arm Sukahara. Oh, and he's not quite as high, or does he get quite the vault distance that he needs?
No, it doesn't look like L.A., does it? Tim Daggett standing by 9.6. That won't help his cause. Not a bit. Vladimir Artemov of the Soviet Union tied for the lead, but now with his countryman, Yuri Korolev.
Well, here comes a series of back bounders into a punch front. A real nice set. And Artemov has been just beautiful in all of the competition. He's a stylish gymnast, very lean body. There's her flares. And is extremely strong.
cheers from another piece of equipment where someone else is working.
All right, here comes a piked front. Rather anticlimactic pass after such a big opening. It's a very conservative routine as far as that's concerned. He'll finish with a double back, and if you remember Li Ning's routine, this has about 1/3 the difficulty that Li Ning's has, although it does satisfy the requirements.
Vladimir Artemov, joint leader at this moment of the individual all-around, the World Gymnastics Championships.
And let's take a look from another angle of that back pass into a front summy. Now he's going to take a layout back somersault. He'll keep it a bit low. There's the back into a bounding back with a full into a punch front. A nice pass. Not great, but it's a very nice pass.
And the mark, 9.75. Well, that certainly opens the door for his teammate Korolev. Now here comes Li Ning of China, three-time gold medal winner, remember, in the Olympic Games. In 5th place coming into this final phase for the individual all-around, but he's already moved up on one spot to 4th place after his first exercise, so don't count him out.
No, what happens, Jim, is that the leaders often fall back, as Kroll did on floor exercise. He touched down and got a low score. Ning is working very well. Now, the rules specifically mention that you must work all 3 parts of the horse, have no stops and no show of strength. Oh, well, Ning is going to drop back.
What happened?
He was trying to swing all the way up through a handstand, and instead of stopping it, he got probably over-adrenalized being in this World Championship, pushed a little too hard, and turned all the way past the handstand. So that's a 5/10 deduction right there.
And that will drop him well down, no matter what he does from here on.
Does a lot of things. The base score is 9-4, and with extra risk, originality, virtuosity, courage, those sorts of things, they get bonus points. Well, that'll take away some of those things, too. He could be down near 9-1, 9-2.
Little falter in concentration on the part of Li Ning.
Now let's watch it. He's really working his single leg work high. Here he breaks into into a front scissor. Now he tries to swing all the way up, take a half turn, catch the handstand, and he just pushes much too hard, takes it all the way past the hands, and I suspect that's the first time he's ever done that.
Well, there it is, 9.35.
They were actually kind to him.
Yeah, it's bound to drop him down. Tough break for Li Ning. Here's Yuri Korolev of the Soviet Union, tied for the lead at the moment. To take the lead at the end of this rotation, he needs a mark of 9.8 here.
And boy, do they move on the parallels. Now, they've made the parallel bars almost as exciting as high bar. Now, watch this. In fact, they work at it much like the high bar. They'll start with a peach basket to a handstand, and they begin doing giant swings. Here's a giant swing, an immediate pirouette. Another giant swing. Here's a stitch to a handstand. Another giant swing, immediate straddle cut. It's become a very visual event. It used to be dull, if you'll recall. Now press to a handstand. Now, a series of another moves to the handstand. Stitz, and here comes a double off. And except for a little hand touch in the center of his giant swings, that is a perfect routine.
Yuri Korolev. Those names like Stitz that you hear and so forth, Gordon, saying they're very often named after somebody.
Exactly. They used to use biomechanical terms or parts of the apparatus. Now they use the founder's name. Here's the Stitz hand, made by a man named Stutzkier. And there's the double off. Little step on the landing.
Well, did that cost him the lead? We'll see.
Take another look now at the end zone. Watch this. It's almost as if you were working a bar suspended between the parallels. Giant swing to the Stutzkier. Another giant swing. Really extraordinary work. The immediate straddle cut into a shoulder roll.
Okay, and the mark, 9.85. He has the lead all by himself. So there are the standings. Korolev, Artemov second, and Li Ning drops all the way down to 6th place. Symbol of the Montreal Olympics almost a decade ago. Much fresher in our minds now, however, are the Games of Los Angeles and the American women. Mary Lou and Julianne and Tracy. Where are they now? What are they doing? What are their plans? Well, this was Julianne McNamara in L.A., a member of the silver medal-winning American team and a star as an individual. She tied for a gold medal on the uneven bars, won a silver in the floor exercises. Julianne in Los Angeles. Well, now she's still in L.A., a student at UCLA, but also involved in acting. 2 primetime TV parts so far, and, of course, commercials.
That's why it is. Why it's been for 8.
For me, basically, things are pretty much the same. I'm still real focused in on what I want. I'm still working out really hard, and as well as focusing in on my acting. And then I'm also going to school at UCLA, so my life is still real structured and real disciplined and really goal-oriented, and that's the way I like it.
We first saw Tracy Talavera as a slip of a girl barely into her teens winning the American Cup. Well, by L.A., she was a mature member of the American team, helping to win that silver medal behind the Romanians. All that took place in Pauley Pavilion on the UCLA campus. The memories come easily to Tracy because she's still on the UCLA campus as a student majoring in communications. Any day she can stroll past Pauley and remember the glory days of '84 and look to the future.
Well, the past year, after the Olympics, for a year, we just did a lot of tours around the country. I stayed out of school for a year to do that. It was a lot of fun. There was no pressure. I had nothing to worry about, nothing to think about, just promoting the sport of gymnastics and going out and having a good time. And that was really good because I got to have fun with gymnastics in an almost competitive kind of level. Now I'm going to school here at UCLA, and I'm concentrating on school mostly. I work out pretty much every day, but just for a couple of hours, and sometimes if I don't have the time to do that, then I just don't. And that's a good feeling, not to have to work out if you don't have to, and there's time for a lot of other things. But I'm enjoying myself down here.
Mary Lou, we love you. She was the nation's determined little sweetheart in L.A.
Oh, boy.
Yes! She has done the best vault of her life. She knows what she's done now. Full twisting Sukahara.
And Mary Lou hasn't left the home screen since, on TV programs and mostly on commercials. Lots of commercials.
That's your style. Now flash, flash, flash. That winning smile.
No question about it. Mary Lou Retton has been a commercial success, as in TV commercials. Where is she now and what is she doing? Well, we are told that she is training with her great coach, Bella Korolev, in Houston, Texas. Training for competition? Well, that is not clear. Not at all clear what her future competitive plans are. We would like to have talked to her about them. However, her agent, John Trietta, told us very simply that Mary Lou is not available for interviews in connection with these World Championships. Period. Sylvio Kroll of East Germany was tied for the lead starting this competition. He's now dropped down to 3rd place, but still very much in it. Sylvio Kroll of East Germany.
Now, he starts off rather easily. He'll just simply do a kip, swing to a handstand. Immediate swing handstand with a giant swing, followed by a move called a Yamawaki, which is named after the Japanese man who originated. Now watch this. It's sort of a 1.5 front somersault over the rings back to a handstand. Lowers to a cross. Long arms for the cross. Gets it stopped, but not quite. Now he has to do a press to a handstand. He's already swung to a handstand. Now, having pressed, he's fulfilled those requirements. And you'll see a layout double flyaway.
Okay.
Nice exercise, very commercial.
Sylvio Kroll, who was 4th in the 1985 European Championships in the individual all-around, currently 3rd.
All right, taking another look now on the dismount. Comes the dismount. He bails out of the handstand. Takes a long pull. Layout, double flyaway. Very nice.
And all along, remember, you'll be hearing applause from other events that are going on at the same time. We have a delay in the mark coming up here, Gordon. And look, these are the individual judges who have to agree before this is over. A 9-3, a 9-6, a 9-6, and a 9-7.
Now, actually, Jim, only the two middle scores, the two 9-6s count, but the judge, the superior judge, seeing that 9-3 sees an obvious discrepancy, and at any time he can force a discussion. And they do every time.
Well, here comes the mark. It's a 9-6 for Sylvio Kroll, and that isn't going to help his cause unless the Soviets really have problems on
yes,
this rotation.
That's not a championship mark, Jim.
Yuri Korolev of the Soviet Union, back in his form of 4 years ago when he won the World Individual All-Around Championship at the age of 19.
And he shows a lot of maturity in the competition tonight, Jim. He's just not letting it all hang out like his younger teammates. Does a lot of difficulty, but with much more precision. There's a one-arm to Kachov. Now watch this. He turns into an immediate hop to Eagles. And you'll see him just right on top of the apparatus. His dismount may not be as high or as far. There, his front somersault was not quite as far from the bar, but much less risky. He just isn't giving away any points. Real nice double flyaway. Didn't take your heart away, but it was right on cue.
You said it right. Not giving away a thing. Don't give it to the other guy. A little small smile there.
He's been around. Take a look now. There's the front straddle summy. He's in nice and close to the bar. He's not going to rip off because he goes for 110%. He's just trying to get through his exercises and make the other guys make the mistakes. Very nice commercial layout double flyaway. But boy, right on the money.
Still aggressive enough, that's right. Not the old prevent defense. That can cost you. Korolev, after that title again.
He was in a vicious duel in 1981, and he carried that off very well. Went right down to the last event.
And there is the mark, 9.9. He's going to be tough to catch. Vladimir Artemov in second place now. He started this session tied for the lead, is now just slightly behind his teammate Korolev.
Working on one pommel, doing a lot of work on one pommel. He really is an extraordinary gymnast and very good on the pommel horse. First came over here on one of the tours with the Soviets when he was a junior. Had great difficulty then and no skill in the style area. Now he's become so stylish. His hips are up very high on his front scissors. Now he's worked all three parts of the horse. More flare work up to the handstand and just a fabulous routine.
The flare, something that was brought into this sport by an American, Kurt Thomas.
Right.
They use it on the floor. They use it on the horse.
All right, here we see another look at the dismount. He'll get into flares. It's an undercut with his right leg. Continues to undercut. Plants the hand swings up to the handstand, and the handstand is a relatively new innovation on the pommel horse.
Okay. There is the score, 9.85. An excellent mark, but not good enough. He slips a little further behind his teammate Korolev. So, again, the two Soviets, and then Kroll, staying just the same. A good way to go yet. We're at the World Gymnastics Championships in Montreal. This is Jim McKay with Gordon Maddox, and about to perform in the floor exercise is the leader in the competition. This is Yuri Korolev of the Soviet Union.
I suspect he'll remain the leader. He is a very steady performer, and he's been here before. Now watch his mount. It's a layout double back somersault. Now after he gets out of this corner, he comes back with a very unique move. He'll do a double front somersault, which is a blind landing, and is the very reason you don't see very much of it. He'll do a double front now, take a forward roll out of it, whether he needs it or not. Really pretty.
Floor exercise, one of his top events. He was second in the World Championships 2 years ago in the floor exercise.
Very, very steady performer, and the depth of the Soviet team is just unbelievable.
What's new?
Yeah, for sure. Well, the Chinese now beat them in the last World Championships in Budapest 2 years ago, but not this year. No one is coming close. Nice flexibility. Now, that's all the flexibility he needs to show. He doesn't really have to do a splits or anything of that nature. Here comes another layout, double back for dismount. Fabulous routine. That's going to score 9-9, 9-9-5.
Not too bad. Yuri Korolev. Kind of a charismatic young man, too. Smiles a little bit for the crowd.
Very, yes. All right, here we go now. Coming right at you. There's a front handspring through to a double front somersault. Extremely difficult. Extremely risky, too. And risk is one of the things that they look for, the judges in gymnastics, and they can reward up to 2/10 for that.
Yuri Korolev from the town of Vladimir in the Soviet Union, 23 years old. Good height for a gymnast, 5'6½", 139 pounds. Everything just right.
It's about 4 pounds heavy.
Okay. Well, the mark is just 1/10 light of perfection, 9.9 for Yuri Korolev. Nobody's going to catch him on this rotation. The Soviets dominating here with the Americans very much in a rebuilding phase. But let's update ourselves now on 2 more American Olympians. We found Mitch Gaylord and Kathy Johnson on the set of a movie called American Anthem. Mitch has moved quickly from gold medalist to pinup poster to movie star.
Action!
So you came back?
Yeah.
Are you sure that's what you want?
Well, it's a start. They were contemplating whether to put an actor and double him or use a gymnast and teach him how to act. And that's where they ended up going, and I took acting lessons for about 3 months, and here I am.
Mitch Gaylord enjoys acting and has very definitely put his gymnastics career behind him.
The competition part of it is behind me. I like to just move on, you know? I feel like we did it, and it was great. And now I'm into another area, and hopefully I'll be able to excel in some other areas.
Now, across the set, Kathy Johnson is working as choreographer with the leading actress, Janet Jones.
Make a point of that, Sean.
Yeah.
Let's go. Here. Here. And then, oh, sorry. And then I step out to here. Right. Let's try not to get yourself so far in here on that part.
There's still very much in me a feeling of wanting to get out there and perform. Like when I watch her out there in front of the camera, I feel it so much that I would like to get out there and do it as well. But I like both aspects. I like creating and making someone else do it and see it work, but I still like performing myself.
Teaching's a great challenge to Kathy, and she hopes to carry her expertise to the next generation of gymnasts.
I feel very strongly about keeping the ball rolling since the Olympics with gymnastics. There's a lot of new kids coming into the sport, and a lot of them will dream of becoming Olympians. They will dream of becoming a Mary Lou Retton or a Nadia Comaneci. And I would like to also add another feeling toward gymnastics, that winning isn't always first place. Winning is going out, working so hard at something and dedicating yourself to something and achieving and reaching your potential. And not only reaching your potential, but pushing it outward, going beyond, digging down deep. And there's a lot of things you can learn about yourself in gymnastics. It's not just winning first place.
With one rotation to go, here are the standings. They remain the same. The 2 Soviets in first and second place. Kroll of East Germany in third position. On that 5th rotation, however, there was a tough moment for the Olympic individual all-around champion. This is Koji Gushikin of Japan crawling off the mat at the end of his floor exercise performance. He was in 11th place, and he says he will go on and do the final performance, but this was a tough one.
Now watch this. On his dismount, he comes out a little bit early. Watch his left ankle. He's short, hyperflexes his left ankle, and it really gives him trouble.
Here comes Yuri Korolev of the Soviet Union, about to become the individual all-around men's champion of the world, or is he? Coming to the rings in which they have not been marking high, he could really wrap it up with a mark of 9.8. It would be almost impossible for his teammate Artemov to catch him. But let's see. They said they haven't been marking too high on the man.
No, but he has an outstanding routine. He'll start with a back rise to a handstand, into a move called a honma, and then he really does some interesting new moves. Now watch. From the handstand, he'll do an inverted. Now he'll do a giant swing back up to another inverted, which is a very original move. I've not seen that before.
He said earlier there's been very little originality in this event for 10 years.
Exactly right. I've seen 2 new moves in the entire World Championship so far. That's one of them.
And originality is where you get those extra tenths.
Yes, there are 6 tenths of reward. One of them is originality, one for courage, and one for virtuosity. And he could get all 6.
That's pretty good routine.
That's a fine.
Yuri Korolev.
He could score very high.
Very much like you were seeing the new world champion. He was the world champion 4 years ago. He lost it 2 years ago.
All right, here we go now again. Lower to the inverted cross, which is in itself a very difficult move. Then he drops into a giant swing forward, right back up into another inverted cross. Beautiful. Lowers to a cross again. That's really a dynamite routine.
And that does it. There's no way that anybody can catch him here. Yuri Korolev with a mark of 9.85 is the new men's all-around world champion. As I said, he won it 4 years ago, lost it 2 years ago, was not at the Olympics, and now he has regained the world championship at the age of 23. Sylvio Kroll of East Germany, he's in 3rd place, but he only leads the Chinese Xu Xichang by 5/100ths of a point. So he's got a battle on his hand here in the final exercise.
And he came in the lead, and he's been a little bit shaky. Let's see if he can pull it all together. There's a one-arm giant swing. Now he's on the other arm with a one-arm giant into an immediate ginger.
And in the background, we saw just walking out of the picture the man who is his opponent at this point, Xu Xichang. So it's almost eyeball to eyeball.
Well, Kroll had a small mistake in his first release move. He came in very close to the bar. Would have a deduction. And now watch this dismount. 4.5 twisting double front.
Okay, well, Kroll has finished this exercise, and Xichang is just about to begin. And here he comes. Here is Xu Xichang of China, only 5/100ths behind. These scores are going to make all the difference.
Now watch these giant swings. There's a giant swing into an immediate Diamondov. Another giant swing into a pirouette. Another giant swing to a handstand. Stitt's hand, beautiful so far. Diamondov to one bar. Now watch this press. He comes into an English handstand on one bar, back to the center. Now all he has to do now is his double somersault. Look out.
Okay, so they've both done their routines, but the bronze medal is still up for grabs. It's all up to the judges. 2 scores to come, and 5/100ths of a point between them. 9.94 Kroll, and that means that a 9.95 would be necessary for the Chinese gymnast to catch him. Not likely. 9.9. Imagine that. Both coming out 1/10 short of perfection, but Kroll of East Germany holding on by that narrowest of margins to win the bronze medal. So it's an East European sweep. The Soviets 1st and 2nd, East German 3rd. As for the Americans, Scott Johnson was 22nd, Tim Daggett 25th, and Brian Babcock was 28th. This is Jim McKay with Gordon Maddox.